Okay, so I'm actually going to take a break from Mass Effect and give my bloodshot eyes a rest from playing the game so much, and I'm gonna make a video for you all, because it's something I want to talk about, and I don't often do mid-season reviews, but I'm going to do a mid-season review for Handmaid's Tale Season 4. We're already halfway through the season, there's 10 episodes this season, and the next episode is Wednesday, which is going to be the 6th episode. Now, I'm not one to usually do mid-season reviews. I usually like to wait till the whole thing is over, then I'll give my thoughts on it. But this time around, I think there's just so much to unpack and maybe just a lot to talk about. I want to split them in half. And it's not really going to be a review where I'm going to rate it out of 10 or whatever. It's more going to be a discussion on what I think of the season so far. Now, before I discuss and get into my thoughts about this mid-season review, if you have not watched season 4 yet, if you're nowhere near up to date to where everyone else may be, don't watch this video. Come back, watch this video after you've seen at least the first 5 episodes. Now, I could be wrong, but from what I would assume, season 4 of Handmaid's Tale was filming in 2019. No doubt about it, COVID definitely did have a part to play in the release and delay of season 4, just like every other movie and show that is currently being made or has just finished being made today. So in a way, we have technically waited 2 years for the next season of Handmaid's Tale. And I think the question is it hitting? Is it delivering the content that we have wanted? I'm gonna kick it off and say I think season 4 has already gone out with a bang, in a sense that there is so much more going on this season than other seasons. There's no more messing around anymore. And I think that's what people have been waiting for a long time. It's time to move, it's time to rebel, it's time for action. And throughout the first 3 seasons, you would obviously see glimpses of it. You would see rebellion actions start to take place. June was doing more to speak up against the ants and the commanders and the world of Gilead, and especially with how season 3 ended by shipping off the children and some of the Marthas to Canada. It was a huge win for the survivors of Gilead and a big loss on Gilead itself, and just showing you how penetrable Gilead can actually be if you're smart enough. Now, the whole point is season 4 needs to continue to build off that, and you need more victories now. I don't think us as viewers could sit here for another season and watch June be a handmaid over and over and over again just to wait till the finale of a season to see her master plan, what she's got in store next. We would not be able to sit through that. We've already done that for 3 seasons. And I applaud them for bringing us out of that territory. June is now in Chicago. She's trying to meet a rebellion faction that is fighting against Gilead. Her and Janine have escaped together. I think there are some character development throughout the season that has been very, very good. I think the show as a whole has gone into a new section of storytelling that we've wanted to see for a long time. We have had our story of June as a handmaid. Who is June, the rebellion fighter? And now we're gonna get those answers. So episode 1 definitely has its moments. Being brought to a commander and his wife's house in the middle of a village. The wife is this 14-year-old girl, 15-year-old girl, maybe 16, I can't remember, but way too underage. You learn that this girl, Mrs. Keyes, has been tossed around from man to man by the commander, basically being raped, trying to give him children, and it just makes you hate Gilead so much more. Now, that episode was really interesting because you see how June is this model figure for people who want to get out of Gilead, who want to destroy Gilead. And you see her maneuvering this young girl and Mrs. Keyes on when the right time is to strike, who you should strike, being smart as a rebellion fighter in this world of Gilead. And the episode ends with June making Mrs. Keyes kill one of her rapists, which was wild. Killing is killing, it's not good, but when you put your mind into a world as Gilead, you feel this satisfaction for Mrs. Keyes because she, in a way, gets her justice. Death is very misconstrued from justice because when you receive justice on someone, when killing them, that's not justice. thank you for Batman for teaching me those lessons. But in a way, you could spin the idea of justice and death together in the world of Gilead. Episode 2, June finds out about this brothel type mansion that is a couple kilometers away from the village they live in. She pays the Jezebels a visit in there, one very important Jezebel who lives there. They basically devise this plan to poison and kill the commanders and generals that go there to have their wild fun. And I just love to see that June didn't care anymore. She wasn't wasting time. These people deserve to die, and I'm going to do that. I'm going to make sure their deaths come now. There's no more wasting time in season 4. Now is the time to fight, and that's why I've been enjoying the overall season. Now, yes, the show still has its fair share of slow moments. It still has its share of zooming the camera in on June's face, framing in, framing out. It's cool, I get it. It adds suspense and intrigue and thrill. Sometimes I do think it is a little overdone, and you don't always need to see June just like you don't need that all the time. But all in all, the cinematography of this show has always been great, and even in season 4, it is still great. Now, even though I'm enjoying season 4, and I do hope that it does get better, and I think it will, I do still think there are some issues with season 4. And one of the biggest issues is plot armor. June has fat plot armor. And yeah, let's be honest here. Of course she's gonna have plot armor. You can't kill off June, at least not right now. She's basically the Superman of Handmaid's Tale. You can't kill her off, especially when her rebellion story is just beginning. But in episode 3, when she's captured and being tortured and she finally has to reveal the location of Janine and the other handmaids, there's that part where she's sitting in the prison and she just wants to die. She wants, you know, Aunt Lydia to finally call it and just end her, get someone to kill her. And Aunt Lydia's like, no dear, we're not gonna kill you. And she mentions about this new type of colony. I can't remember the name of the colony, but in these colonies, you're basically doing colony work, but you are still the rightful handmaid to a commander and his wife. But now the difference is that if you serve in this colony, the commander and his wife will go to the colony when it's the ceremony night, do the deed, and then they will return home while the handmaid stays in the colony. Now it's just double trouble. Not only are you being worked to death with barely any food and water and care for hygiene or health, but you are also getting raped at the same time. So these women, they can't win. Like, Gilead will just not let these women win. What really gets me about that scene is Gilead has killed people for less than what June has done, yet they still let June live. And Aunt Lydia says a line about how they don't have enough handmaids, or enough, I can't remember if it was enough handmaids or it was the lack of children, like the children they've lost because she shipped them out to Canada on that plane at the end of season 3. And she says, we need all hands on deck, we need more children. In the most recent episode, when Aunt Lydia's on the treadmill working out, she looks out the window and she sees a ton of handmaids. You could honestly get rid of June, and the plot armor is huge on her because you have so many handmaids that could potentially give you the children that you've lost and double that as well. So the fact that they're still keeping June alive just looks really stupid on Gilead's part, because you could easily kill June. You, like I've mentioned, you've killed people for less. So the fact that June is alive is very, very strange. And just a really quick note on Lydia. How, like, get your head into the game, Lyd. Like, how do you not understand this world is awful? I would have thought by now, after everything that Lydia has seen, after everything she's went through, you know, loving Janine like her own daughter, feeling like June is someone she needs to fix. You know, even that scene when June is getting tortured, Lydia doesn't like it. She doesn't like the way they're treating her and what they're doing to her. Even using June's daughter against her to basically tell the commanders where the handmaids are hiding. And still, Lydia looks She has scenes and moments where she wants to turn against Gilead, but she doesn't do it, and I don't get it. I don't understand where Lydia's storyline is going. At this point, I've made mention to some people that I think it might actually be easier just to kill Lydia, even though we know that's probably not going to happen. But 4 seasons in, seeing so much turmoil and hate and just disgusting images and viewerships of the people in Gilead, and she still hasn't changed. I don't understand. Now, one of the coolest scenes in the first 5 episodes that we have got was the handmaids escaping the Handmaid truck and going across the railroad to escape into Chicago. And those 2 handmaids who were never as important the way June and Janine were, but are still pretty well-known handmaids, and I'm forgetting their names right now. I'm pretty sure one is Alma, and I think that's her name, and then there's the other girl. But as they're crossing over the train track and they just get crunched by the train, it's such a great scene because you know that with every good thing to come in this world, there is always going to be a sacrifice. I do feel like a lot of us did feel like that was actually going to happen, that June and Janine were going to be the only ones who were truly going to escape. And speaking of Janine, let's get into the 4th episode where we get some flashbacks about her and her life before Gilead, and it really shows how important I believe Janine is going to be throughout the course of the show, and just how strong she can actually be. There's that scene where she's going through the abortion, or she wants to get an abortion, and there's that woman who's giving her this horror story that if she does, they're gonna have to pull the baby out piece by piece, and it's just this gross story of what abortion really isn't. But I almost felt, and maybe this is a theory of mine and I could be wrong, but my theory was this is obviously before Gilead, but Gilead does hit soon. So what if Gilead sent out spies? Like cells, groups of people who hid in plain sight, who had jobs in certain areas and certain professions, and what they would do is they would preach the good news of Gilead to regular people without actually telling people they were part of Gilead. And I almost feel like that woman she was talking about with the abortion, maybe she was already a cell of Gilead. Maybe she was someone who was preparing people for the world of Gilead to maybe, convert them. I don't know, just a theory. But I love Janine. I think she's such a great character, and I can't wait to see what's in store for her. And I really like that flashback episode because you know you're gonna get more of her. Now, this is something I just did not like. I thought the writing was bad on this, and I think this was so wrong, especially considering the world these characters live in. Just feels like there's no winning, and I didn't like this. I gotta be honest, I don't like it at all. When Janine and June get to Chicago and they find the rebellion faction and they bring them into their truck and bring them back to their base, and they're talking to the rebel leader, can't remember his name, guy with long curly kind of hair. They basically ask for a place to stay, and he's like, fine, but we're running low on food and water, so like we don't have many spots open, blah blah blah, whatever. But he allows them to stay, and then at the end of his speech he says, okay, but who's staying with me tonight? And it just bothers me so much. Why I don't like it is because do they not understand what these women have gone through in Gilead? In a country that's losing hope, do you want to strip hope even farther? You would think that being a rebellion faction who's fighting against the law of Gilead, you would think those people understand it the best, that what they're doing to these women and even men is absolutely wrong. You idiot. Do you not realize that is literally what they've been doing for a living in Gilead? And now you're gonna make them do the same thing with you, basically forcing sex upon them, even though he says he's not going to force them, but basically forcing sex upon them because you're trying to make a trade deal. Hey, if you want to live here and be safe with us, well, you gotta have sex with me. It's just so stupid. I thought the writing was so bad on that. And you know, 2 minutes before that, the guy literally made this smug comment about how he basically thinks it's ridiculous and disgusting on how Gilead has these sex slaves, these sex workers. But then 2 minutes later, he goes off and says, so is one of you gonna have sex with me? What? So that's my least favorite thing about the season so far. It really pisses me off, and I just don't understand why that was really needed in the first place. If you had a reason to throw that in, I'd be like, yeah, that's absolutely fine, but I just don't feel like there was a reason for that. A world where these women have been through hell with that type of shit, and then you gotta put them through that again with a group of people that you would think should make them feel safe. But anyways, whatever, moving on. So the most recent episode ended with Janine and June actually leaving that camp, but being bombed due to a plan that Lawrence and Nick devised, and it unfortunately didn't work out the way they wanted it to. They need to buy June time in Chicago so she can maneuver and get to who she needs to get to, but obviously the commanders fast-tracked that plan and they made Nick bomb the city. Great scene at the end when June gets up from the explosion and she sees Moira, which you would assume is Moira's first relief effort outside of Canada to find survivors to bring them over to Canada. Now things are gonna get really interesting because what happens next, and we're gonna find out next Wednesday and the Wednesdays preceding from that as well. You know, it's gonna be really interesting to see June enter Canada, which I assume is going to happen, and her reactions with people like Serena and Fred and whoever else, because really we haven't seen Serena and Fred all that much in the show since season 3, really. I think we do need more Serena and Fred because they are just so important to the show, and I'm really curious to see the future of Nick and Joseph Lawrence, because they clearly have a plan not to just change Gilead from the inside, but to somewhat help June in her relief efforts against Gilead, and how this is all going to work is going to be interesting. Because in my opinion, I think Lawrence has plot armor as well. They technically should have killed Lawrence. Any commander who has gone through this much trouble with several handmaids, you'd think at this time they would either strip him of all of his duties and rights and throw him in the colonies, or they would have hung him on the wall. And obviously Nick stopped that from happening because they are working together, but there is a little plot armor with Joseph Lawrence, considering how big and important his character is going to continue to be. But I'm okay with that because I think Lawrence's character is awesome. Overall, the season has been good, even with the particular things I wasn't really fond of. I'm just really excited to see where this is going in the future and what even the season finale of this season is going to look like. I want more Fred and Serena. I would like to see June in Canada. I want to see where Janine's gonna go from here. I can't wait to see what Lawrence and Nick end up doing within Gilead, and what is the deal with Lydia? Is she changing? Is she not? It's going to be really interesting. But anyways, that will be it for now. Don't forget to like and subscribe if you do like this video, and make sure to subscribe if you want to keep up to date with future videos and the part 2 to this Handmaid's Tale video when the season finale drops in a couple of weeks. But just like usual, until next time, may the Lord open.